I would like to now proceed with our speaker from the banking committee, Mr. Michael Strobaek. Michael is Global Chief Investment Officer and Head of Investment Solutions and Products at Credit Suisse. In addition, he is Head of Asset Management Switzerland as the Senior Regional Representatives for the international business in Credit Suisse home market. Michael joined Credit Suisse in 2013 from a Swiss family office where he was the Chief Executive Officer and Managing Partner. Before that, Michael was with UBS, where he was Head of Investment Management for UBS Wealth Management. Michael holds a Master's of Science degree in Economics and Business Administrations from the Copenhagen Business School in Denmark and a Master's degree in Finance from the University of Cologne in Germany. Michael, the global financial crisis is surely behind us, but trust is still a major issue, and that is lingering over the banking sector and global banks as they adjust to new realities. With your experience in financial markets, please share with us your insights on where the banking sector is heading and what challenges lie ahead.
Thank you. So you heard before that the inventor of the concept of BRICS was actually a banker. I am also one of the species of an industry representative that is a banker. And I live and breathe and feel, if you will, the trust and the understanding of where we are today as an industry in terms of confidence. Let me say that we live in year 7 after the global financial crisis. And the world is not the same as it was before the day in September 2008 when a large investment bank in Wall Street called Lehman Brothers went bankrupt. And it would be, in my view, wrong to say that the global financial crisis in its aftermath is over. It is still with us and we're still working our way out of it. And one of the things that we're rebuilding as bankers and as an industry is level of trust. You all have your savings, I'm pretty convinced, in a bank somewhere, where you get a checkbook or where you get a plastic card, but you all entrust your wealth and your money with a bank. And I'm sure you're all asking yourself the question, is my money and or my family's money with a bank today safe? And that question is something, can you move this slide forward, please? That question is something that, if you will, the industry as such, and can you move it back one, please? Is something that the industry is still grappling with at the same time as regulators, as global investors in general are trying to come to terms with what trust means versus banks. I've been in banking for 20 years. I'm Danish, I'm not Swiss, but I've been in Swiss banking for 20 years. And there was a time when it was a noble job to be working in a bank. And at that point in time, everything that banks touched, in particular from 2001 until 2007, turned into gold. And if you would have asked me on the evening of the Sunday or the Monday when it was announced that Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, that this was conceivably possible, that a financial institution like Lehman Brothers could go bankrupt or could be allowed to go bankrupt, my answer to you would categorically have been, that is not possible. But there was a mistake made in the hectic hours of that evening. And just to be clear, I ran at that point in time the largest single global private banking portfolio management operation in the world, and felt the bank run and the trust disappear like frost over a cold sea in Greenland go across the industry. And what in one or 2 or 3 hours went lost in the industry was trust, not just in banks, but trust among banks. And the industry is still, together with the regulators, working to find the formula by which trust is restored. It is still not fully restored among banks themselves. The interbank market today does not work in the way that it used to work. And also the trust from individuals in general is not yet fully restored from the global financial crisis. You see here on this chart, if you ask the average banking consumer whether he or she trusts banks versus other technology firms, the answer is categorically that there is still a level of distrust. This is a broad industry phenomenon. I will say the following to you. I meet wealthy individuals and corporations on a daily basis, and in one-to-one discussions, I don't feel that. It is something that is in the broad populace of either press or regulation, that there is a high degree of distrust. But banks play a crucial role still, and many understand that banks play a crucial role in the way that the world goes around. You can say money makes the world go around. I would contend to you that trusts make the world go around. And it is imperative for the global economy as we sit today to restore trust in banking, because we did see what happened if trust disappears in the moment of Lehman. Can this happen again? Are banks smaller to fail? The answer is no. If you look at banking today, the too big to fail topic has not been solved. In some cases, some banks have become too big or even bigger to fail than we were before the crisis. And as we, if you will, move towards discussions in the committee about what do we do with this topic in this country, the combined balance sheet of Credit Suisse and UBS is something like 10 to 15 times the GDP of this country. There are 105,000 people working in banking in this industry today in Switzerland alone. Suffice to say, the industry remains important, and it hurts people in banking and, if you will, the ethical feel of people to read what bankers are still doing in today's environment in terms of lawsuits and regulation. So trust needs to be restored for the greater good of the economy. Now, me being an economist and a chief investment officer, I will tell the following to you, and that is, at some point in time, this business cycle is going to come to an end. Okay, you are all industry experts in whatever you do. The economic cycle is going to come to an end, and we're going to go into a recession. At some point in time, in the next 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 years, this is going to happen. Now ask yourself the following questions. What will happen to banks at that point in time? Technology is in banking as well. Actually, banks are technology firms with confused financiers running around trying to sell banking products. Credit Suisse has more IT programmers and developers than Oracle. UBS probably has more combined than Oracle and Apple. Banks are enormous, large technology and infrastructure setups. Credit Suisse alone has 27,000 employees in operations and IT. But what we have is an enormous challenge of translating our technology platforms to the new world of digital smartphones, online movements, where most of the systems that are used in banking today are probably anywhere between 25 and 35 years old. And the technology experts of this world, as you can see here, Mr. Ma has very clearly posed the challenge to banks that if banks don't innovate themselves, they will be disrupted by other technology firms. I do not contend that this may be wrong. I just contend that technology persons have yet to prove that they really are bankers and that they are financiers. But I am also convinced that in 5 years' time, probably half of all global banks will not be around in the shape and form that they are today. The largest single, I guess, payment system on earth today in combination is probably Apple. If you think about it, then I guarantee all of you, you probably have your credit card information stored at iTunes, or you will have at some point stored it on iTunes. Apple is more intimately aware of what everyone does with credit cards like MasterCard or Visa than anyone else. Can they move into the banking space in general? Yes, probably over time. Because guess what? The next generation of wealthy people on this planet are called the so-called millennials. And millennials have many things in common, but one thing they have in common is the key platform that they use is Facebook. And bankers and clients today in the banking industry are not there yet. I don't know if you know what the average age of the banking client in Switzerland is. Take a guess. Anyone? 69 to 70 years. Do you know what the number one reason is why people take out their money from a bank? Because they die. So the money is on the move to a new generation of people, because the bankers or the people of this world today are moving either towards another place and or they're passing the wealth on. And the investors, the wealthy people of this world are going to be the young millennials that use Facebook, and banks overall will cease to exist in its current form and they'll find their clients online. And maybe the technology firms will do it. I do believe that the biggest threat actually comes from technology, either from the larger ones. I contest to you, being the chief investment officer as well, is did you see what Apple yesterday linked up with? McLaren. What is Apple intending with McLaren is to learn something about the car industry. The next industry probably that the big technology firms will take their eyes on are indeed the banking industry. Can you move the slide forward, please? Banks live in a world, we all live in a world of something that is called secular low interest rates. So you all feel, but just that you know the statistics, a quarter of all government bonds in this world today trade at zero or negative interest rates. Savings is not being paid for. And the banking model is what in its traditional form, that is taking in money from people that save and giving it to people at a higher rate so that banks earn money. That business model is very difficult in an environment of negative interest rates. This is a secular phenomenon. This is not something that's going away. What is the driver of it? My key answer to you is demographics. I just told you a demographic feature of banking. Banking clients are dying and passing on their wealth. The same thing is happening all around the world, and it has its expression in various shapes and forms, but we live in a world of zero negative interest rates. All firms in this room, representations in this room are affected by this. Think about your own company, think about your own industry. Will you survive at interest rates at 4%? Yes or no? And this is going to come in one day. Banks at the same time will have the same question to answer. Another thing that is happening in the global economy, and then I'll pass on to the next speaker, is have you ever thought of what is actually the real impact of technology and innovation? I contend to you that today technology and innovation is destructive. For 50 years, the rate of productivity of labor has been dropping in the developed economy. Nobody can explain you why, other than that it may be a combination of demographics and of innovation. But have you ever thought about who is the winners of today's innovation race? It is concentrated very strongly at the hands of a few firms. 1 trillion of excess cash sits at 5 large technology companies in this world. They can buy with the postal box office money that they have in cash in Ireland the entire banking industry of Europe, if so wished. Just that you are aware of the potential disruption that can take place. However, we are moving into, as I said, in the final hours of this business cycle. Here's an expression of it. The combination of this room in terms of firms are actually in a profit recession. Our firms all struggle with one thing, and that is either to grow the top line or the bottom line. But recessions, earnings are in recession in the US, and they're moving towards recession in Europe. And I think one of the key questions that needs to be answered is, as I said before, what happens at the moment when the next recession comes to banking, to our industry in general, and are we ready for it? Because we are 7 years behind the global financial crisis. We may be 2 or 3 years ahead, not of a new one, but at least of a new downturn. So with that.